Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan. I can be found at John Ryan Sports with number one. But more important than that is I am honored and pleased to have my buddy Albert on the show again. He can be found at Analytics Capper on Twitter. And if you're not following him, you gotta do it right now. And so you don't forget to do it after the show. There's a reason why he has the following he has, and it's because of intelligence and winning bets. And he's been a large part, along with Ira and Kyle Hunter and Chris Wallace, of why we have made profitable bets on this show in 12 of 14 shows that we've aired. So this is show number 15, and I think we're well onto our way to another profitable night. But it's one day at a time. And I do want to take a moment here about the Super Bowl. It's exciting. I get it. It's a tremendous matchup. It's like LeBron versus Jordan, with Jordan being in his prime. But this is a marathon, and don't be tempted to bet more than you can afford to lose. It happens every Super Bowl. It'll probably happen again to somebody, and I just want you to really take it seriously that it's a very dangerous thing to do, period. It's much better to have a bankroll, be disciplined, enjoy the game as entertainment, because after all the games we bet on is entertainment. So I guess I'm done preaching as a father here. So forgive me if I have, but I take it very seriously and want to try to help people. But anyway, Albert, how are you doing this week?
That's great advice, John. I'm doing great. Obviously, there's 2 days before the Super Bowl. It is a long-term grind. It's another game, right? Obviously, it's the biggest game of the year, but it's another four-quarter, 60-minute football game. There's nothing different about it from a betting angle. So you definitely need to manage that bankroll. And you may have losing days, losing weeks, or even losing months. But as long as you profit in the end, that's all that matters. I will say you guys have had 13 out of 15 profitable days. I've been on 5 days, and I'm hitting 100%. I'm batting 1,000. 5 out of 5 days, we've gone positive, and I'm going to try to keep the streak going today.
If there's one thing I would bet on that happening. So let's get to it.
All right, let's jump into the Super Bowl. So I don't really have a side yet on, or a lean yet on the side or the total. It's probably Bucks. It's probably the under, but it's hard right now. We'll see what it is, what I feel like on Sunday morning. But there are a few prop bets that I like. The first one I want to get into is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's going to score. It's plus 150 as an anytime TD prop bet. I think Darrell Williams did a great job the last couple of games trying to fill in for Helaire, but he's healthy now. He's the more talented back. He has the speed, and I think he's going to break one in the end zone. So I do like that one. What do you think, John?
I like that bet quite a bit. I can't even come up with the opposite side why you wouldn't want to do that. Of the ones I've talked about on the show, I'm adding over the first quarter points for Tampa Bay, which is plus 100, and it's 6.5. And the reason really is not based on my machine learning or metrics or analytics. It's more intuitive. There's been too much talk, in my opinion. The public is all over the first quarter being low scoring because traditionally the Chiefs start out slow, which they have. They've been behind by, essentially double digits every playoff game the last 2 years and have come back to win. Brady, historically, slow start, strong finish. But with everyone in the world thinking the same thing, it makes me think a little bit contrarian that we may get something shocking in the first quarter. And that dovetails into my hope that if Tampa Bay scores, their first score is a defensive touchdown. And we talked about this before. And quickly, teams that scored defensive touchdowns, which has occurred 8 times. And Albert reminded us all that there was a guy that played for Dallas back in the 2004 Super Bowl, I think it was. It was the second 92, Dallas Super Bowl.
92.
Oh, that's right. It was way back then. Right. It was against the Buffalo. No.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Buffalo Bill.
I wish it was 2004. But
Yeah,
no, the Cowboys have not
yeah,
made the Super Bowl in 25 plus years. It was the second time, and John's referring to Leon Lett. We were up 52-17, had a wide open fumble recovery for a touchdown, and Don Beebe caught him from behind. It would have set the new record for most points in the Super Bowl. I think it's still 55 by the 49ers or the Broncos, one of those teams. But yeah, it would have been 8 out of 9 games.
yeah. So that's something to think about for the in-game betting. And full disclosure, you might have realized that Albert is a big Dallas Cowboys fan. So for
Yes, I am. I am from Dallas through and through. Unfortunately, I'm a Cowboys fan. I haven't felt success or experienced success in 2.5 decades, but I'm just gonna continue to cheer for my team. But I do like your first quarter over bet. I hope this prop bet that I'm about to speak about doesn't bite you. But I do see a missed extra point on Sunday. It's plus 250. It's obviously just lunch money, pizza money. But we have two shaky kickers. They've hit the crossbar. They've hit the upright a couple times now in the playoffs, and I can see one. I can see one missing. So at plus 250, that value, you put $10 in, and you make $25 and covers your beer for the game. So that's one that I like. And another one that's kind of connected to it is having a successful 2-point conversion, and that's a yes for plus 240. I don't know what you thought about that, but if there's a missed extra point, again, this does connect with each other, then most likely the team is trying to chase points later in the game, and there might be multiple 2-point attempts. So I'm going to go with yes 240 there.
I like both of them. I do. I can't tell you I actually will bet them, but I can tell you I will bet the missed extra point. I also like the Chiefs kicker attempting or making more field goals than Sapan will. And the reason being is the red zone struggles. I mean, it's hard to say struggle in the same sentence as Kansas City when you're talking about the offense, but their struggles in the red zone are significant. And they really haven't stopped anybody in the red zone on defense. So I like that quite a bit. And I do think the Tampa Bay defense, as I've been studying this game now, and, I actually sometimes I guess I think I try to act like a coach and watch the game film, but I'm fascinated by it. And sometimes it doesn't lead anything to the handicapping end of it, but it's fascinating to me to watch what happens and the strategy and the chess match that goes on, the games within the game. It's just enormous. But the Tampa Bay defense,
And you have to start cutting you off there. You have two really good coaches, right? You have Andy Reid, who just
yep,
won a Super Bowl last year, and has probably made 5 to 6 conference title games during his tenure at Kansas City and Philadelphia. And then you have Bruce Arians, who's a great head coach and an amazing coordinator as well. So you have two great minds here. Obviously, they're both creative. There's a prop that most sites don't have. I think I like it a lot, but over 2.5 different passers. So obviously you have Brady and you have Holmes, but can you see another guy throwing a pass? And I believe it's like plus 180, plus 190, but over 2.5 unique passers. I like that a lot because of the creativity of these two coaches.
there's no doubt. I mean, you definitely have the two most creative offensive minds in the game right now, especially with Andy Reid. His game management of the clock is probably his only weakness. But when he gets on a roll and gets into the zone, it's amazing the plays that you actually see unfold. But I will say this: in that first game, Tampa Bay was missing starters on defense, and they're a team that was one of the most blitz happy teams in the NFL, blitzing on 32% of all plays. In that particular matchup, they only blitzed, I believe it was 17%. And I really think the one of the keys I'm going to watch early in this game is I think they are going to play lights out aggressive and go for it right away on defense. and try to disrupt any of the flows and contain Mahomes. And I really believe that the media keeps talking about offense, offense, offense. Brady this, Brady that. Mahomes this, Mahomes that. Kelsey this, and I really think they're missing the point that if there is an advantage in this game, which I do believe there is, because I've been on Tampa Bay for the whole playoffs, because I always thought the team they should have been favored, and fortunately I was right, and I do think they should be favored in this game, or at least down to pick. I think the line is inflated by about 3.5 points in this game. Um, how I'm going to play Tampa Bay is yet to be written. For my clients, but I am leaning towards a 50% pre-flop bet on Tampa Bay, and then using the volatility of the game, given the high total, to your advantage. Meaning that when Kansas City scores, I will be feeding on the live line at a price that might be pick 'em. It might be 7.5. It might be double digits. Who knows? But I think that's how I'm going to play the game, and I'm putting my MVP award. I haven't decided on Jones or Fournette yet. It's hard to pick a defensive player. Like if I'm right on a defensive touchdown being scored, it's impossible to pick who that might be. It's probably gonna be one of the cornerbacks, but you just don't. That's hard to do. And then that guy also has to have a really good game and not give up a touchdown later on. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about MVP. I usually don't bet it, but I'm intrigued by the long shots. Since everybody and their brother thinks it's either going to be Mahomes or Brady, that makes me contrarian and think, well, who else could it be?
No, I like that. I think one point that I do want to make regarding getting pressure on Mahomes. Obviously, he's a great talent. He's a great quarterback and could be the best of all time. He is. He's going to kill you, right? If he has time. If you're going to just drop back in the zone and allow him to be comfortable, he's just going to slice and dice you with Travis Kelce all game long. The thing is with this game is Tampa Bay may not have to even blitz to have pressure because Kansas City offensive line is so hurt. Both their tackles are out. One of the other tackles, obviously, we all know is the reason why Von Miller won MVP that one Super Bowl. So you do have two really mediocre to bad backups for Kansas City, and if the Bucs can get pressure with Sue and Jean-Pierre and the others with 4 guys, maybe 5 guys, they may not have to blitz, and they can guard and get pressure on Mahomes, and that would be huge, right? I agree with you. I think the line here is kind of odd. Even though the public is on Kansas City, the money is on Kansas City, I do like Tampa Bay, and they've shown it all playoff long that they can win on the road or in hostile environments. And guess what? The Super Bowl is actually at home in the friendly confines, something they're comfortable with. They've been playing it, all season long. So, the more I talk about it, the more I like Tampa Bay, but it's not an official pick until Sunday. So, I guess that's my final thoughts on the Super Bowl. And are you ready to get into the NBA, John?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is Arians is a home dog. You mentioned the home team, and this is an official home game. He is 10-1 as a home dog of 3.5 or fewer points, and that's hard to get. That's hard to say is meaningless. That's a pretty damn good track record at home defending your turf. So. Yeah, let's move on to. You want to do NBA next?
Yeah, let's do NBA. There's only a couple games. It is somewhat of a hard slate for me tonight. The nightcap on ESPN is Boston versus Clippers. Jaylen Brown is out for Boston, so it's hard for me to back Boston with someone who scores 28 points out of the game. But there is a nice spot there with Boston. If you really like them, and you think there's a significant edge there at 6.5 points, I do recommend taking them. I think for me, the only thing I like is probably the Bulls tonight. The Bulls are playing Orlando Magic. The Bulls are still pretty undervalued in the market. especially in the first half. I like them to cover the 2.5 points for the full game, and for the first half, 1 to 1.5 points. There's no Aaron Gordon for the Magic. I think it's a very strong road favorite. I like them a lot. So my lean today is the Bulls.
That sounds very good. Ira, I did a separate show with him before you came on, and he said the same thing about Boston. So all three of us agree on that one. I'm intrigued, and I'm going to be doing this after the show. I'm going to bet the under. I know everybody's going to think I'm nuts. I'm going to bet the under in the Toronto Brooklyn game,
I like it.
which opened at 244, and I had the math told me to do it. I just got busy, didn't do it with the app. But now I'm seeing like 239.5, I believe, and I think that is a good bet to make against a Toronto team that actually can play some defense. The danger is that Brooklyn doesn't play defense, but they'll score you to death, and I think that's going to be their flaw. Like you said the other day in the show, that it's between the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia Sixers for the Eastern Conference, and Milwaukee really isn't in the conversation right now. They are playing better. Maybe they get into the conversation, but I don't see any other teams other than the Bucks right now. Embiid last night in the loss in the first half scored 31, and I believe he also had 10 rebounds, which doesn't happen very often. I think it's happened 10 times in the last several years. So it's hard to make a case for anybody else, especially Brooklyn. So, Brooklyn's only favored in this game by 5.5 and a total of 240, 239.5. I got to lean under for sure.
I agree with you. That is a strong lean on the under. I think the market is obviously overreacting to two over teams. I think the Nets have been over 14 in the last 15 games or 14 in the last 16 games, including a 12-game winning streak or 12-game over streak. And then the Raptors, on the other hand, are on a 3 to 4 game over streak. So it is two over teams. When that happens, I do like the under. It's also a national TV game today, and I usually fade the public or lean towards fading the public on national TV games. And so I agree with you there wholeheartedly. I like the under.
Yeah, good. That makes me feel pretty confident too then. There's a trend here too. I'll mention this quickly because, I talk about the P value, which is like a Z score that everybody's heard of, but it's on steroids. And it really, really helps in developing betting systems that actually make sense. Like you can have a system that the Philadelphia Phillies are 8-0 on Saturday afternoons if the game starts after 1 o'clock. That means nothing. I mean, that's zero. It's just coincidence. But when you have an angle such as this, where Brooklyn is 17-2 to the over, when playing a team that makes 6 or more 3-point shots per game on the season, this is all this season. It's in like 5 years. It's 17-2 this season. And as Albert said, just about every single game has gone over with them, but now it's maturing. And the p-value is very, very poor on that particular metric, on that situational trend. And that the fact that it's 17-2 actually works to the under because of that reason. So I know that probably doesn't make sense, but you don't see trends that are 24-2. You rarely see 17-2. It's usually like 11-1, 11-2, and then they start to reverse. And those are the ones that are dangerous if you see them in the newspaper or wherever you see trends that are perfect, 8-0, 10-0. Start training your mind to put up the red flag at least. You don't have to think opposite, but okay, I don't want to bet that. I don't want to bet the over tonight because Brooklyn's 17-2 over. Doesn't mean that you're going to bet the under, but maybe there is a reason to bet the under, like Albert and I just went through. So enough teaching on the P value. You want to move over to college hoops here quick and do anything there that you see? I like Penn State tonight a lot.
Yeah, let's get Penn State game.
And I Penn State's the better team. Flat out, they are the better team. They like to shoot threes, but they are at home. They're used to shooting threes in their venue with no fans in the stands. It's a change of depth perception, and there's an adjustment with that. And they play in a Bryce Jordan Center, which is kind of like a miniature NBA stadium. It's pretty big. I think it seats like in the 14,000 range. So, in terms of pace of play, I think Penn State has a decided edge in that they're averaging far more possessions than Maryland. Maryland ranks 329th out of 356 Division I programs in pace of play, whereas Penn State is more of an average Big Ten pace of play, which is in the middle of the pack for the national ranks. They're around the 150 rank, but the difference between 150 and 329 is monumental. So with that in mind, I think that pace of play combined with the fact that Penn State is a far more consistent team. And lastly, the public is on Maryland because Penn State has a losing record. And Penn State has played a very tough schedule. In fact, they're number 2 in the Big Ten. They have played all the big guns in the Big Ten. And now they have a stretch here where they potentially might win out. It's starting tonight. So at 6-8, I like Penn State here to possibly win by double digits.
I like it. It's a game that I had identified myself. I do like Penn State today. I was on Maryland the previous game at -3. They only won by 1, so they did not cover. They're coming off. To me, Maryland is just not a good closing team. I think Penn State, being at home, like you said, is going to be able to close. And it's going to be an official play for my clients as well. So Penn State.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a 4%er. Over at Wager Talking Sports Memo, every handicapper knows that 3, 4, 5%. So the goal is to get away from those game of the months and get away from hype. If your record is good, you show the record, you produce results, and a professional bettor. Say, if you're a recreational bettor and you want to do it the pro way, you have a 10 grand bankroll. 3% means you bet $300, 4%, $400, 5%, which should be the most rare play you ever do, is 5%. And for example, I lost last night with Iowa as a 5% play. I went into that game 7-1, so now I'm 7-2. So it's not that you discount and don't care about the loss. You know that over time, the percentages are in your favor. That after I've been doing it 26 years, so I'm confident enough to say, but I can't guarantee it, that profits are going to be there at the end of the season. So that's all I wanted to say about that. It's truly that Belichick mantra where I don't know about that game, but we're on to Cleveland. We're on to the next one. So you just can't get too high, you can't get too low. You just grind it out, and you'll do very well at this. I sure been preaching a lot tonight, Albert.
No, I am a new father myself, so I've been on the preaching bandwagon as well. And I agree with you. For me personally, I don't even go 3, 4, 5. I'm only doing 1, 2, and 3 unit plays. So very, very rarely do I have 3 unit plays, which is essentially the same as your 5 unit plays or 5%ers. And nothing goes above that. If I'm riding hot, I may, up a play from 1 unit to 2 units to maximize profits, but never above 3. And it's still a rare thing where, 40 days into the year and I've only had 5 3 unit bets.
It's that's the way you do it. If you listen to that and you remember it, you got your money's worth on this show, plain and simple. So if you don't have anything else, Albert, I'm good to go here. I'll write down the best bets, and then Well, actually, you if you don't mind, you tweet yours that you did on the show here. We'll put that out in writing on Twitter for those that maybe don't watch the show, and the record maybe will bring them in. So if you do
Well,
that, that would be great. Um, I know you're going to have a great weekend with the Super Bowl, of course, and I think uh, I think Monday, we're going to be right back at it. It's an exciting time of the year. And my favorite race, I'm not a NASCAR guy, but I love Daytona and I love Talladega. I love the drafting. I love the strategy involved with it. I don't watch it for the big wreck because I'm just a person that doesn't want to see anybody get hurt. But there's a skill there in NASCAR where, at 205 miles an hour, you're riding somebody's bumper. And then because of the airflow, all of a sudden you lose control of the steering for a split second. I wouldn't be able to do that. I definitely would not be able to do it. So as a result, I have all the respect in the world for them because they can. So anyway, that'll be something we'll talk about next week because that race will be next Sunday, I believe. It's either Saturday or Sunday, but we'll figure that out on Monday.
I didn't know you were a NASCAR guy. I'm a Formula One guy myself, so I do like motorsports. Formula One is my thing. It's been delayed this year because of COVID, but hopefully early summer, late spring, we can start talking about Formula One.
That would be great. I would love to learn about that. And I wouldn't classify myself as a NASCAR fan per se because I only watch those races on the super tracks. I've yet to learn the excitement of like a Bristol, which is only a mile and a quarter, I think. But those monster tracks that are 2.5 miles around, that fascinates me. It really does. But anyway, let's worry about the Super Bowl first. And, come Monday, we'll be right at it again, Albert, and it'll be a blast.
Yep. Well, good luck, everyone, and have a great weekend. Thanks for having me on, John.
You bet. My pleasure. We'll see you guys, and good luck in the Super Bowl with whatever you do, and we'll be tweeting away. I'll be tweeting away, so feel free to send me messages, send whatever you want to me. It'll be a blast. Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.